Module 6, the working memory. This lesson is a little bit different. We have more activities on the pages to help the learner understand a little bit more about how the working memory works with visual and auditorial skills. So our lesson activities today are to recall the definitions associated with the term, create a poster describing the process of how information is received, and third, develop strategies on retaining of information for academic success. This is all going to be done through the working memory as we introduce the learners to what exactly is the working memory. So the working memory is a type of active memory, of course, that allows us to hold information in our minds just long enough to do something with it. We have discussed this in Module 1 about the definitions, but all information is processed in the brain and it has a destination, whether you're going to use it or discard it or store it. And if you're going to store it, it has to be a process for you to get from looking at it, paying attention to it, and keeping it into a long-term storage that you would retrieve it when necessary. So the goal here, as far as executive functioning and working memory, is how do students go into that memory bank in their brain to retrieve information that they can possibly use at a later situation in an academic setting. So we're going to discuss the two types of working memory, and that's the auditory, which is the holding information that you hear. As far as a test, an example of this would be recalling 3 sets of phone numbers, 3 phone numbers of your friends. I know everybody's got speed dial, but if you can recall 3 sets of phone numbers for your friends, and then find a way to associate those numbers with the person and define it that's important, you will kind of get the idea of how information goes from just being on a page to your long-term memory. So the numbers having 7 digits each, but requires focus and attention to recall the numbers. So I think we can get an idea of how do you put things together to remember. It's basically what the working memory does in the auditory sense. The other one is visual. And in the visual sense is the whole information in a short period of time that you see, of course. And this information, visual information, is subject to the same set of circumstances. You still use it, lose it, or it can be stored in a long-term memory bank. So why do we do this? Why do learners need to know about processing auditory skills or any type of visual memory? So in order to be able to use this skill, students will need to learn how to extract pertinent information for academic success or academic tasks. And this combined with executive function skills that we have talked already about planning and organization and time management and task initiation, this will help the students will develop critical thinking. But by this point, uh, the information that has been received through the modules is helping to develop a critical level of critical thinking that the learner might not have had before. So congratulations on getting this far. So how can a learner increase their memory? Well, there's a guide. There's several different um, informational guides out there talking about what can be done for the visual and auditory levels of increasing memory. So one of the things to do is to recall some past celebrations, some things that you have celebrated and what you were happy about and you can remember. This also increases working memory. It's a happy time. You can also write down a set of instructions to recall with no assistance. This could be how to get to a certain location that you like, how to complete an academic assignment. You can ask the teacher, or a set of dates of some personal information, such as uh, several of your friends' birth dates, and to write that down and remember it and put the significance with it. And this will help to increase your level of working memory. So here's the process of the two, auditory and the visual, and what happens, how they go from step to step, just to the working memory. We hadn't gone any further because that's all we're covering is the working memory. There are some challenges, especially today. You have all these different things going on at the same time. It can be a little bit difficult because of distractions to actually focus on what needs to be done, how it's to be done, and planning and organizing and all those things. But the level of focus that's necessary will help, especially in this case with the working memory, by focusing and paying attention on the things that need to be done when they're supposed to be done. That's one of the keys for sure. So, what can you do now? Exercise. Exercise is very helpful. Being mindful of what you're doing, practice repetition, uh, group similar items together, like birthdays, A's, like you on your phone, you have all A's. You might group things like that and associate some old things with some new. So some new ideas come out. How can it be associated with some old things that will help increase your level of working memory? Thank you so much, and continue to Module 6 course content.